When you send our children to school, we're actually the second educators in your children's life because you are the first teachers. And we want to work in partnership with all of you because we can't do this work alone.
Que su voz cuenta y que si nos unimos podemos lograr grandes cosas para nuestros hijos.
I love the diversity of the school district. Whether you know it or not, this district speaks 83 different languages.
To know that the administrative offices, they have my back. Not only my back, but they have my child's back.
Every child, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of income, regardless of need, every child deserves to have their needs met.
No one person can do it alone. The teachers can't do it alone. Administration cannot do it alone. It's going to take the parents, the community.
I'm very thankful for the partnerships that we have with our communities in both cities that represent our school district. We always ask the question, how can we even do this better? And I think that's where community schools come in because that takes us to the next level.
Welcome to the August 24th meeting of the Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board of Education. Superintendent, will you take the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Millajor.
Here.
Mr. Merrill.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Huey.
Here.
Ms. Larrett.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
All are here. Thank you.
All right, we will be going into closed session to deal with any of the following matters: student matters, employer-employee relations, conference with legal counsel regarding litigation, conference with real property negotiators, and personnel matters. Before we go into closed session, is there any public comment on closed session items? Anybody online? Nope. All right, then we will recess to closed session, and we will be back at 6 p.m. sharp. Thank you. All right, welcome to the August 24th meeting of the Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board of Education. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I have a broadcast statement I need to read. A broadcast and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demanding, loud, insulting, and/or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during board meetings are an important component of public engagement and transparency. Members of the public will not be permitted to yield their speaking time to another member of the public. There were no comments received by the 3 p.m. Deadline today. Per the Brown Act, the board is not allowed to enter into any two-way conversation or discussion on any matter not on the agenda. Superintendent, will you take the roll, please?
Yes. Mr. Mellitor.
Here.
Mr. Merrill.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Huey.
Here.
Ms. Larrett.
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Here.
Mr. Reed.
Here.
All are here. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to item 5, reporting out of closed session. Superintendent?
We have no action to report out of closed session.
Thank you. Takes us to the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Motion by Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Larrett. Superintendent?
Mr. Mellitor.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Huey.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item 7, special presentations. It looks like we don't have any special presentations today.
That's correct.
All right,
Next meeting.
next meeting, all right. Item 8, public comment. I don't have any cards, but is there anyone who would like to make a comment?
Perhaps Mr. Jones, maybe.
I'm on 11 and 12.
You're on 11 and 12, so yep. So this is time for public comment on any item that is not on the agenda. Is there anybody online? Melanie, welcome, Melanie.
Thank you. My name is Melanie Passavoy. I'm a math teacher at Folsom Middle School, and as we head back into negotiations next week, I'm really hoping for an excellent % increase in salary, not an off-schedule bonus, but real monthly money to spend on my family. I know that FCUSD has received a sizable chunk of money from the state to help us with a strong COLA to reduce the pressures of inflation. Bargaining does not have to be adversarial. We can see what other teachers in our area are getting in terms of raises and what the state employee unions are getting. Please bring us a fair offer to show Sacramento region that Folsom Cordova teachers are valued as much as those in our neighboring school districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Okay. That takes us to agenda item 9, reports of district organizations. Student Advisory Board.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Student Advisory Board's first official meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 6th at the CLC. We're still in the process of planning specifics regarding the meeting, but we plan to develop subcommittees as well as garner student interest regarding issues that they want to discuss. We plan to elect a 2023-2024 SAB secretary as well, who will be in charge of taking meeting notes as well as keeping track of items of discussion. Van and I are looking forward to welcoming all the incoming students of this SAB batch, whether they are new or returning, and we can't wait for nuanced discussion on student advocacy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. California School Employees Association. Welcome.
Good evening, board members. CSEA had a busy night last night. We were able to ratify MOUs 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26. And also a tentative agreement for 21, 22, openers, Article 9 and 12 were both also ratified. We look forward to going into negotiations next Thursday with the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Folsom Cordova Education Association. Welcome.
Jeanette Sanzabach, President FCA. Good evening, families, board members, staff, and teachers. Firstly, I wanted to thank the air conditioning and custodian unit members of SCEA for all their hard work over the past weeks in trying to make our classroom environments tolerable for students and staff. Secondly, when that could not be accomplished through our AVAC system, the district authorized the purchase of portable fans that could help out until the supply chain systems were improving. Additionally, thank you to Angela for your communication efforts. Keeping communication lines open enables employees to be informed and assists us to understand the issues. Sometimes it does take a village. Along with this challenge, though, there were others that are still being worked out, such as overload classes, SLPAs, which are our speech language providers, caseloads at some elementary sites, alternative education issues. All of these challenges are being addressed, and I envision the next time I appear, these issues will be resolved. Monday, I attended a special board meeting to talk about the possibility of bond measures for our district. Sean Martin, staff, and outside agencies did a great job in explaining the reasons behind starting this process and also the next steps. However, I would like to see more of a lead time in posting the agenda on the board website. But shouldn't the special board meetings also be posted on the district website? Today, when I looked at the calendar, the Monday board meeting wasn't posted, nor was the October 9th one posted as well. I feel that all educational partners should be given the opportunity to know when these meetings take place so that they can be given the option to voice their support or not to these topics. In 2 weeks, we will be holding our first membership engagement event, and I hope that I will be able to bring good news to the members that the district's offers of compensation and benefits is one that is acceptable and reasonable for all. Thank you and have a restful weekend.
Thank you. Superintendent, I wonder if something came off of the website, because I know I accessed Monday's agenda before the meeting on Monday.
Yeah, and I believe we made sure that it was.
It was Friday.
Oh,
I'm just saying more than just at the weekend.
okay.
Okay.
But
All right.
the actual meeting is not posted on the calendar,
On the 12-month calendar?
on the 12-month calendar.
Oh, 12-month. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And just for clarification, when we do special meetings, the requirement is a 24-hour lead time that we post them. We try to do it more than that if we can. But we'll take that into account for the October 9th meeting.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have the Folsom Cordova Leadership Association. Welcome.
First, I'd like to thank Hurricane Hillary for cooling down the weather so athletics can take place outside. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I had to follow you, so sorry about that. Good evening, Dr. Kaligian, President Reed, members of the board, and distinguished colleagues and guests. I'm honored and humbled to serve as the FCLA president for this year. I'm charged with sharing with you what our leadership team is doing, planning, and how our students are benefiting. I recently sent out a welcome note to our 12 new leadership members. The greeting went something like this: you don't know it yet, but you just joined one of the greatest leadership teams and districts in the area. FCUSD is not a location. It's about people we serve, the community we support, and the family we are. Welcome. We look forward to learning, professionally growing, and sharing our leadership expertise with you. Leaders are not born, they are created. They may start at the lowest level of the organization. They may climb the ladder, the corporate ladder. They're driven by success. They become servant leaders, and they are forged by experience. Our 119 leaders that make up classified, certificated, and confidential leaders. Collectively, they have over 2,000 years of experience. There's 81 administrative credentials, 54 master degrees, 10 PhDs. But the greatest accomplishment of this group is the achievement and satisfaction of knowing that we work for the best faculty and staff in the region and help raise the future of our country. Currently, 4 of the 7 board members are products of FCUSD. I guess you can say part of my job is also to brag about our leadership team. Remind the board and the community that each of our leaders works for the betterment of our students, our communities, and our families. We look forward to the board's support, your understanding, and your guidance. Throughout this year, FCLA will be sharing leadership stories, success stories, site success stories, and how our team continues to grow under the leadership of Dr. Kaligian. FCLA is committed to inspiring our leadership team, our students, and our community. We're honored to work alongside our FCEA, CSEA colleagues to help our students thrive through educational excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great letter. All right, that finally takes us to the District English Learner Advisory Committee. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Kaligian, Superintendent, President of the Board, David Reed, members of the board, and my esteemed colleagues. It's nice to be back. Good to see you all. I wanted just a couple of updates for DLAC. There was a meeting on August 7th with the officers, a meeting that is required to be conducted so that we could review CARS being the application for categorical funding. Just a reminder, DLAC has an item that they have to review, which is the budget and the programs for English learners. And at that moment, we also set all of the dates in the springtime, but we confirm to make sure that we're still set on. So at that time, they reviewed the DLAC calendar. Our next meeting is actually not set till October. There was some discussion about really encouraging our sites to strengthen their ELACs at their sites and giving schools the opportunity to establish representatives so that those representatives can join us in the October meeting. In addition to that, there was a request to provide some ELAC training for the new members, and so that will also take place in October. So again, really encouraging our site leaders and parents to take on that role. And then last but not least, just a final on parent summits, the first one being on November 4th. All of those dates are published. So just as a summary, met to review and approve CARS in their level of input, and then also looked at dates for DLACs and ELAC training and parent summit. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Thanks, Elena. So real quick, will we be able to have that calendar? Will you send that out when the meetings are? I know.
And absolutely, they're posted, but what we like to do is include you on the invitation. So I'll make sure that those are added. I think I made the assumption they were, but we'll make sure that you guys are included for sure.
And I'm assuming that meeting on the 4th is probably going to be at
Rancho Cordova Elementary School, if they'll have us. No, we've already got confirmation.
Got it.
We're trying not to fix it if it ain't broke.
Agree. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us to agenda item 10, the consent agenda. Is there any items that anybody wants to pull? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda or approve the agenda?
I'll motion.
Motion by Board Member Lofthouse. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Melajor. Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. Melajor.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Huey.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, and no introductions tonight. So that takes us to item 11, public hearing. I just have to gavel in. All right, this is a public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials, textbooks, and Instructional Materials Act. Superintendent.
Yes, we're required by Ed Code within the first 8 weeks of the school year to ensure that through a resolution and a public hearing process that all students have sufficient textbooks or instructional materials in each subject area that are standards aligned and consistent with the content to be taught at those grade levels.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing, and I have Mr. Stan Jones, who would like to speak. Welcome.
Hi, Stan Jones, community member and parent and past parent of Rancho Cordova kids and 4 graduates of Cordova High School. I was around in 1998 when Williams was tried in court, and I was thinking of running for school board at that time because I was concerned about sufficiency of materials at that time, and there was an issue. And that was the reason it was brought as a lawsuit, I believe, by some parents of the San Francisco Unified School District, and then it became a state lawsuit, and that results in our requirements for reports and audits. When I saw this on the rationale for the hearing, it says the purpose of this hearing is to determine through a resolution that students have sufficient textbooks. I think that has nothing to do with determining sufficiency. I think that should be done by physical audits and other accounting measures that keep track of what materials we have for our students. At the time back there, and the whole reason for the Williams Act was that there were not sufficient materials actually available. My youngest daughter was a student at Mills Middle School. I bought school instructional materials because they weren't available to her at the school to do mandatory required homework. And so I came to the board at that time and I said that, none of you, of course, and probably no one in this room, but to ask about, do we have enough money for instructional materials? I was told by the then assistant superintendent in a letter response to me, yes, we have plenty. However, prior to coming to the board, I talked to the librarian, the teacher affected, the vice principal, and the principal at the time, prior to coming to the board, that yes, I knew we did not have sufficient materials. So if we, one of the things that, so I think that when we're passing this resolution, I hope that it was preceded by an audit and that we actually do have all of the materials for the students. Now, the other thing related to this are two things. One is the what happens to the instructional materials when a student leaves. There are workbooks, and workbooks aren't reused. So can the students take these workbooks with them? Can they keep them? I don't know. But I think about students in our school in the West End here who have too many, who don't have a lot of resources maybe at home, and they might benefit from those. The other one, my time's up. The other one is, there's a list. I was asked some number of years ago, I asked somebody sitting in the side here, I don't know who it was, so it's not important. I asked,
can you please wrap up?
Sure, thank you.
All right.
I don't have a comment on 12.
You don't, okay. Thank you. So the board can discuss this item under 12A, which is the action for the public hearing. So is there anybody else who would like to speak on the public hearing? Anybody online? All right. So we will close the public hearing, and we will enter into the next public hearing, which is to accept Folsom Cordova Education Association 2023-2024 Sunshine Openers for the successor agreement to the Board of Education. Superintendent.
Yes, this item is an annual procedural item where we open our sunshine articles, and they have to be done through the public hearing process and then board action after that to declare which articles that our Teachers Association chooses to open or to discuss at the negotiating table. And this year there are 9 articles, and one of our appendixes, Appendix D, are the ones that they would like to discuss. But this is the public hearing, then we can get into the specifics of the articles on the next item.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
I'd like to clarify. So last year, this sunshine was given to the board in October, and they had the wrong date on it. So they gave the sunshine for negotiating this year or last year, but there was the wrong date on it. So we're bringing it back just with the correct date.
Okay. Anybody online? Okay. So hearing no public comment, we will close the public hearing. And that takes us to agenda item 12, discussion action. Item A, adopt resolution number 08-24-23-04 regarding sufficiency of instructional materials, textbooks, Instructional Materials Act. Superintendent.
Yes, I think going into a little bit more detail about each site does do an audit to make sure that there are instructional materials and textbooks in place. It's usually done through our library staff or library clerk that is doing that audit. And then the compliance piece is the Williams compliance that Mr. Jones talked about. And the county office chooses those schools that undergo a Williams audit. And we typically have anywhere from 5 to 6 schools, and typically they're in Rancho Cordova. Those are the schools that the county chooses where they do an in-depth review and audit and come and do on-site reviews as well. So we really have 2 processes in place, our internal process for audit and then the external compliance piece.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Clark.
So, Dr. Clegan, when they do the audit, is it a specific time of the year, or is it?
It's within the first 8 weeks, so we're pretty early in the process.
Right.
A lot of that, getting the materials in place happens, before the students come back. But sometimes, we have to shift materials around. If one class is short of something, we might have to ask another school to help if they have excess.
Okay.
But for us, we try to do it as quickly as possible.
I'm just wondering, I mean, I don't see it in here, but if we were talking about doing audits, should we have it somewhere in the reso at all? If we're gonna do it, or is that just standard?
I think that's more of our internal procedure. The resolution that you have before you actually comes straight out of Ed Code. So we just copy their language there. But I shared that just so you know our internal process for how we make sure that we can vouch for everything in the resolution.
But we do know it's gonna get done, right? In the first 8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all 36 schools?
Yes, we haven't had any issues up to this point that we're aware of. So yes, we can declare that.
So Innovations Academy, which doesn't have a physical library and I guess a physical librarian, how do you audit? And I assume someone's auditing Innovations.
Well, they have an online platform, so it's a little different, but yes, then we make sure they have access.
Innovations Academy doesn't get issued books, textbooks?
Is it all online, Jim?
Yeah, their curriculum is called Stride, and it's all online. If we have a student that requested something physically, I believe the first year we did, but for the most part, it's all online. It's all virtual.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Public comment?
Mr. President,
Oh, yes.
I have a comment.
Mr. Melajor.
For Dr. Clegan, you did mention the external audit involved 5 to 6 randomly selected schools. Is that correct?
Yes.
How far in advance does this board get to know which schools they are, and what is the composition? Is it like 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school? How is it made up of?
I'm going to let Dr. Huber talk about that. It can be any of those, but.
Yeah, we do know the schools. I don't have the list in front of me, but we are given a lot of notice. What we don't know is specifically when they're coming. They usually will give us some notice, but there's always a few schools where we don't know until probably like the day before. It's more of a spot check. But we do know what schools are being audited. And I can share that with Sarah with Dr. Collegian to share with the board.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's see. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 08-24-23-04?
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Clark, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Lofthouse. Superintendent?
Mr. Melajor?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item B, accept Folsom Cordova Education Association 2023-2024 Sunshine Openers for the successor agreement to the Board of Education. Superintendent?
Yes, this is the board's action validating the letter from FCEA to deal with the following articles 2 through 16 with Appendix D included. Mr. Ogden, did you want to add anything more to that? Okay. No. Yeah. Any questions?
No? Okay. So, any questions from the board, from the public? Online, back to the board. All right, so do we have a motion?
I'll move.
A motion by Ms. Larrett. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Merrill. Superintendent.
Mr. Mellinger,
Aye.
Mr. Merrill,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Hui,
Aye.
Ms. Larrett,
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse,
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item C, approved purchase and sale agreement, Alder Creek Elementary School. Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. Washburn and our team in facilities has been working with the developers in the Folsom Ranch area to finalize an agreement for the purchase and sales for the property for Alder Creek Elementary. And I'm going to ask Mr. Washburn to come on up and just share the price for the property and moving the project forward.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, we've been working quite a while trying to get negotiate a fair price for the purchase sale of that. The original offer was $10.4 million for the site. We found some errors in their calculations. The land value designations weren't correct to determine the correct land value, and so we ended up coming in, $8 or so million, and then we ended up with $8.7 million, which we still think is too much, but considering the land value increases and neighboring land and what we have paid previously, it's probably the most fair deal we could get.
Okay. Questions from the board? Public comment? Online? All right, back to the board. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Clark. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Lofthouse. Superintendent.
Mr. Mellinger.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Hui.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item D, approve certificated assignment under a variable term waiver for the 2023-2024 school year. Superintendent.
Yes, this is a routine action for those teachers that are seeking a waiver so they can teach outside their credential. And in this case, we have one teacher from Cordova High School who is going to be teaching driver's ed for us under this waiver, and he has consented to that assignment.
Okay, questions from the board? Public comment? Online? Back to the board. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Mr. Hui. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Larrett. Superintendent.
Yes. Mr. Mellinger.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Hui.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, item E, approve California School Boards Association Director at Large nomination. Superintendent.
Yes, this is our opportunity as a board team to be able to nominate for the CSBA directors at large. And we have a time frame to turn that information into CSBA by no later than September 29th. We know the importance of that position as Mr. Clark serves in that position now, and we're very grateful that we have that representation at the CSBA state level. So with that, I'll turn it over to the president to maybe open up any nominations here.
Yes. Do we have a nomination for the seat, Director at Large seat?
I'll
I can't nominate myself.
I'll nominate
Thought Kara would watch you, so.
I can't nominate myself.
Another option.
All right.
I'm gonna second it.
All right. It sounds like we have a nomination by Board Member Larrett, seconded by Board Member Lofthouse. Any discussion? Audience, online, back? All right. Superintendent.
Yes, I think this is a very gracious board. They all wanted to make the nomination at the same time, and we're giving everybody a chance. But we'll take the.
Well, I actually think, and Dr. Clegan, I need to make sure. I think I need to abstain, don't I? Because I'm the sitting director right now. I have no vote on it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, just wanted to
So
make sure.
we'll just record that as an abstention for the record. Mr. Mellinger.
Aye.
Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mr. Clark will abstain. Mr. Hui.
Aye.
Ms. Larrett.
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse.
Aye.
Mr. Reed.
A strong aye.
Motion carries 4 with 1 abstention, and congratulations again for being our nominee, Mr. Clark. Thank you.
All right, that takes us to item 13, discussion. Item A, staffing updates. Superintendent.
Yes, we are still in the process of staffing up and training, and we've done a lot of recruitment over the summer, and Mr. Ogden has given us several updates, and we held a hiring fair last week in which we did a great job filling some of those vacancies on our classified openings. And with that, I'm going to let Mr. Ogden share the latest updates because this is an ongoing process. Mr. Ogden.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about on the recruit, train, and retain topic that I've been sharing the last couple of board meetings. I want to talk about training today, but before I do that, just to give you some numbers, we had a great turnout last week at our classified hiring fair. We actually had over 300 people come in and get interviewed for jobs. We hired or made offers to 130, and so we're in the process now of having them fingerprinted, TB tested. Some of them have to do physicals, and so that's the process we're going through right now. So that's very exciting. Today, though, I wanted to talk about training, and this is again is one of the priorities that we're focusing on is fostering a diverse, inclusive, and thriving work environment. I have a quote here by Peter Sinji, and it talks about a learning organization, and I really believe that's what we're evolving into here in Folsom, Cordova. We can no longer expect to hire people that come into our workforce that are fully trained. What we need to do is we need to understand that as a learning organization that we have to be committed, to sharing our learning with our new employees that are coming in and providing training and development for new employees. And that goes across the board. That's our classified employees, our certificated employees, and our managers. Today's focus of the three, this is the third presentation that I've shared with the board, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the training that we've done since week one. So the first week of training actually was before school started, and we began by training our brand new teachers. That orientation lasted 2 days. It was 2 days of training with over 150 teachers that were new to our district. That's the largest number of new teachers that we've had since I've been here, and this is my 7th year here. And Jeanette can share that it was a very big group because we work with our labor partners on these 2 days, and on one of the days, Jeanette hosts a lunch for all of our new teachers, so they're able to bring in a bunch of fellow teachers who can come in and network and get to know people. So it's great that she did that. We started our day on Monday with all the principals coming in. So the brand new teachers came to a table with all the other teachers that were at their school, and their principal was there to welcome them to our district and kick off the training that we hosted. The 2 days for the new teachers was facilitated by our new teachers on special assignment who specifically work with new teachers. Every day they get up and they go to schools and they work with a caseload of new teachers to support them, stand shoulder to shoulder with them in the classrooms, help them tackle the troubles and challenges of the day, also help them plan, help them learn what it's like to be a teacher, empathize with them, and work really hard to help new people have a great experience in our district as classroom teachers. During this week, we also had professional development for our special ed teachers. This is an ongoing initiative. Betty Jo and her team do this every year where they bring in our new special ed teachers and they get very specific training on how to be successful as a special ed teacher coming into Folsom, Cordova. We then had everybody back on the 4th or on Friday. Dr. Klegan kicked it off with a welcome. And we had a keynote speaker, Sam Drazen, who did just a wonderful job talking about developing a sense of belonging. So that first week, if you were a new teacher in our district, I think you sort of got your socks blown off by the level of support that you received before you walked into a classroom in our district. And then on Monday, we had a day where our teachers and principals get together at the school sites, and that's typically what we call a work day, where they're working in their classrooms, getting their classrooms ready. But we also took advantage of that day. We brought in our campus monitors and our yard duties. DT, Scott, and team put on a training for our campus monitors to make sure that we started the year with safe campuses. And so this again was a new initiative. That's led by Christy Wilkerson. Christy is our new coordinator of professional development, and she is working on developing a lot of different training opportunities for our classified employees. Just to dive a little deeper into what we're doing for our 150 plus new teachers, I shared that we did a 2-day training, and then also we're not going to stop there. We're going to have the 4 C's of classroom management. We had our teacher induction leaders come in, and we're going to do a teacher induction training. Now, our induction teachers are different than our interns. So our interns are already in a program, and so they're going to school and they're teaching. Our induction teachers, they have their credential, but in California, you have to get a clear credential. And in the past, our district would send new teachers off to the County Office of Education where they went through an induction program. Well, in the last couple of years, under the leadership of Mindy Andrus, we've developed our own induction program. Joni Cunningham, who's now our coordinator of beginning teacher support and development, has taken the baton on that, and she's leading that this year. So now, if you're a new teacher who doesn't have a clear credential, we have a program here in our district where we help you go through the classes and the coursework so that you can clear your credential. So that's a huge benefit for our teachers. They don't have to sign up at SCOE or somewhere else to clear their credential. We do that right here with our own teachers as mentors and with our own people supporting them, and it's aligned with the things that are important to us. That induction team also provides monthly network meetings. If the board would like to attend those, it's a great opportunity to meet some of our new teachers, and sometimes it's a year one induction person or a year two person, so it's a lot of our newer employees, and they're very excited to be part of that network. I just wanted to share some of the feedback, what we're hearing from people. After these trainings, we actually asked everybody to do an exit ticket where they click on a QR code and type some feedback. People are saying they feel more prepared and successful for the school year. They said it was an awesome way to start a new career, was a comment by someone. I love that. They're feeling very supported. And one of the things that we really were hoping for was this last statement, which the activities made me feel I'm not alone in my journey. I have a wonderful team that are willing to support and a mentor. So people that first week came out saying, okay, I've got people here that are going to help me be successful. And that really was our goal. Our goal was to make those connections that first week. We also provided optional PD. As the board recalls, last year we entered agreement with our teachers to have 2 days of optional professional development. There was a wide variety of opportunities for teachers to sign up for. These are just a couple of examples of some of the things that teachers were able to do during those 2 PD days. What's important to understand about these PD days is teachers can go to PD all summer long, and we do have a rate that we pay teachers if they go to PD. What we did on these PD days, which was significant, is we paid them their daily teaching rate, which is higher than the rate that we pay if someone goes to a professional development. So this was an opportunity to earn basically a full day or 2 full days pay by attending training here in Folsom, Cordova on the 2nd and 3rd of August. And then I talked a little bit about Christy Wilkerson and how she's organizing professional development for classified employees. You'll see there's a lot of staff development here that we did not offer last year. This is new. And one of the ones I want to highlight that Christy is overseeing is we're calling it our new guest teacher orientation. If you're earlier in the consent agenda, the board approved a new salary schedule for substitute teachers, or what we're calling guest teachers. We're paying a higher rate for our substitute or guest teachers. And so now when you come in to Folsom Cordova and you're going to be a substitute teacher, you go through training. That's a requirement. So going forward, we will have no teachers who'd say, well, I wanted to try it out and see what being a sub was like. You would sign up and just go into a classroom. Last year, we piloted a curriculum out of SCOE called SETI. We found it to be very successful. And so we're using that SETI training program with all new sub-teachers. So sub-teachers are going through training. I started my career as a substitute teacher, and I can tell you I was not trained there. I just showed up in a first grade classroom and looked at the lesson plans and tried to figure it out and leaned on the people around me and sort of learned by talking to people. I think we're doing things very differently now. We're a learning organization, as I shared earlier. And so we're setting people up to be successful by training them. But also, if you look through these, we have BIA trainings, we have campus monitor trainings, we have bus driver trainings, lots and lots of trainings for classified employees. I did talk a little bit about our TOSAs and our lead teachers. We acknowledged this year, and I think it was a very good insight by our leadership team, that there's more to being a teacher on special assignment or a lead teacher than just being a great teacher and then going and sharing your narrative with your colleagues. You really need to be trained to be a coach. You need to be trained to be a mentor. And so what we did differently this year is we hired a couple of different organizations that train teachers in coaching. They came in and we started our year rather than just sending people out and saying, okay, go tell them what you used to do. We went through a training program where we talked about how you mentor, how you have critical conversations, how you share things, how you coach. And so that teachers who are very, very good teachers can now become very, very good coaches. So this is a very thoughtful and deliberate approach to our coaching. And, we had a couple of people who led the charge on this. Jim and his team, Lori Emmington and Angie Carlomagno, put together this training, and we're really proud of the work that they did. I also shared that we're doing some training with our leaders. So we've got training going on with our principals and our assistant principals. And that's sort of a summary of all we're doing, and we're only a couple weeks in. So, I'm really excited about this year. I think we've done a lot of things to help people get off on the right foot.
Any questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. President.
And Mr. Clark.
So Don, with Sam Drazen, I understand that he'll be at Cordova Gardens, or where is he going to be? I understand he's going to be stationed at one of the sites.
Yep. Betty Jo, do you want to share the sites that he's going to be working with?
Okay, now that I'm on the spot, I'm going to try really hard to remember all 4 schools. In Folsom, Mangini Ranch, and in Rancho Cordova Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Prospect Kinney and Cordova High School, which will receive some support with co-teaching. And then I think there's 2 more elementary schools that are coming to mind. I can't remember, but I'll email those to Sarah so she can, to Dr. Kaligian, so she can forward to you.
Thank you. And our campus monitor training, are we only doing that once a year for our campus monitors?
DT and team have a couple of trainings going on. We'll probably, I'm meeting with the bargaining unit next week to talk about a professional development day in October. So for sure, we're going to have something in October, and we're going to do some things intermediately too.
And that will include all of them, Vista, Cordova,
all of the
Mills,
schools.
all of them. Okay.
And the feedback from that was great. People felt it was very, very helpful.
All right. And the teachers' monthly networking, you should send that to the board. I would be interested in hanging out and kind of meeting the teachers outside of the classroom.
We'll get you the dates for that.
Them. Okay. This is totally not, well, actually, I know you're talking about training, but I wanted to go to the recruitment aspect of it. When we're out recruiting, are we kind of like telling folks, this is how we're supporting our teachers, the collaboration and networking, the, resources, technology-wise, curricular supports. Are we kind of selling ourselves that way? So they have an interest? I mean, because if I was a teacher and I was looking for a job and you all came recruiting, I would probably ask, what supports do you have in place? How do we get to know our colleagues in the district?
Before we even had it, I was telling people we're going to do it last year. So when we were out recruiting last year, one of the things I was talking to recruits about is what kind of, I would say to them, when you go and talk to people about a job, because you're here to look for a job,
right,
ask them how they're going to support you, because I'll tell you how we're going to support you.
Right.
We're going to have someone assigned you as a caseworker who's a beginning teacher support, out of the classroom, teacher on special assignment. And that's the level of support you're going to get from Folsom Cordova. And so if that's the kind of support you want your first year, that's something we're going to be offering. But if anybody else is offering that, go talk to them, and no one else is offering that.
So when the, I think you all are going to I think I'm going to the recruiting to HBCUs.
Yes.
This should be a selling point, right?
Well, and last year we talked about it there too.
Okay.
Yeah, because we do also have intern programs, right? And that's very different than a lot of smaller districts that don't have intern programs. Some of the bigger districts have, like we have, developed partnerships with multiple agencies. So we've got a partnership with the Sacramento County Office of Education. We've got a partnership with YOLO, and we actually have a partnership with UMass. And so
Yeah,
we're
of
able,
course.
3 different organizations that we're able to create intern programs. So if someone doesn't even have a credential yet, we can get them in a classroom, get them in a program, and then provide them really robust support with our teachers on special assignment.
Well, is there like some way we can have that like on a flyer or a pamphlet, or I know it's probably a lot to retain if somebody's getting a booklet and saying, oh my God, all these things are happening, but just kind of a condensed version of it while we're out recruiting.
When you come with us, if you come with us, okay, Tim will tell you that we have videos, we have handouts, we show up with all kinds of informational material and AV and handouts, and we definitely show up there prepared.
Okay, make sure you send me the date. I gotta get that on the calendar. Thank you.
Will do.
All right. Other questions?
No questions, but did just want to comment, and it feels like it's becoming a broken record, but thank you for all the recruitment efforts you and your team have been doing. I know it wasn't an easy lift pulling off an event where 300 people show up and there's TB testing and live scanning on the spot, so just appreciate all that work. I know a lot of people came out probably voluntarily to help out with that, so.
Yeah. I did have another question. I think Angela was probably working on this with GSUL in their recruiting fair that's coming up. Shameless plug for my employer, but and hopefully FCUSD will be out there to recruit at that time. I think you all did it last year, right?
We did.
Yeah,
We were there last year.
So perfect.
All right.
I was just going to ask, I also would love the teacher induction calendar, but also if there's a professional development calendar, and I'm guessing now that we have somebody in charge, there's probably one of those, to share that with us as well, because it would be nice to show up to some of those.
Chrissy Wilkerson put together a one-page sort of overview that we're going to start having, which is classified and certificated professional development for the month. So it's going to be sort of a month at a view that we're collating. Yeah, will do.
All right. Public comment online. All right. This is just discussion. So we will move on then to item B, which is first read, board bylaw 9270 and exhibit 9270-E1, conflict of interest. Superintendent.
Yes, this is one of the board bylaws revised by CSBA. We reviewed it at policy subcommittee on August 14th. 2 major changes, one on campaign contributions for elected officials, and then also on board members who may manage public investments. I'm going to ask Mr. Martin to go into a little bit more detail because there was a lot of verbiage added in those 2 areas.
Good evening, everybody. So, can you hear me on this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we pull up the policy, you'll see that as Dr. Clegan spoke to, the 2 main areas of changes are, the first one is with regards to political contributions to campaigns. Obviously, being elected officials, you have campaigns, and so this will impact for you. The areas that it covers really are contracts. We don't do licensing or permits, so it's really a contract component. And it does exempt certain contracts from it. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and scroll down a little further. Just so you know, the changes at the top were more about pronouns than anything. It just said board member instead of he, she. So those were pretty standard language. But one of the pieces I want to make sure that really what it comes down to for board members is the impact of if you have a contract in front of you that the board is going to be taking action on, and it's not a labor contract or competitively bid contract, as it says, or personal employee contract, you have to ensure that if you received a contribution in excess of $250, that person doesn't come before, or you would have to recuse yourself from the decision-making component of that action. And that's really about all. If there is language here, if something was to happen and you were unaware of it, you have a window of time to either really refund any contribution in excess of $250. So there is an ability to rectify the situation. And if something of that situation occurred, obviously you would want to speak to legal counsel, and we could provide our information as well. So that is one piece that's new language. You're familiar with your Form 470 that you have to complete. That's really where you would want to just track that. It's, for us, over a certain threshold, we're going to do competitive bidding. So it's going to be probably those smaller contracts, though. But if you have that situation or you have questions, you would just reach out to us, and we could help you before those items come forward to the board. And so there are a couple remedies there. You can either give the money or you can recuse yourself depending on the situation. So, and this again is language that we're required to put in here from the Political Reform Acts and some other language. So any questions on that section before I move on to the next one? Okay, all right. Next section is with regards to managing public investments. So as a school board, we do have two trust investment accounts that are under the PARS accounts. One is an other post-employment benefit, and the other one is a pension account. You might remember those from last year when we changed the investment structure. Under this, depending on if you had a conflict of interest with the investment structure we were going into, then you would have to recuse yourself. The truth of the matter is on this one as well, we believe from the interpretation we received from the attorneys that the investment structure we have is similar to a mutual fund in the fact that you don't invest in a particular stock or real estate, or really you're investing in we invest as a district in a pooled account that really is broken out into very generalized terms like capital, securities, and those types of things. And so because of that, and because of the structure of the investment, there really isn't an ability to have a conflict of interest for you in this scenario. Obviously, we always tell you to check with your own attorney on that, but from the legal opinion, we believe similar to a mutual fund, which is also kind of the same format where you don't have individual control over the investment structure. It's more about a overall market strategy like growth or savings, those kind of types of things, versus an investment where we're buying Apple. Right? If we bought Apple stock and you had significant Apple stock, then you would have to, first you'd have to disclose that Apple stock purchase, and then potentially you'd have to exclude yourself from a vote if that was the case. But we don't invest in those kind of structures. So again, I think this language is more tailored towards some other government entities, but we have to include it in ours as well. So those are the two major changes with regards to the policy, but just wanted to make sure the board was aware of those because obviously those all impact you. Also, we have an exhibit. Not only do you have the responsibility on this, I should say, also executive cabinet and cabinet members who have been identified that have financial ability to make some decisions within the district also have to report on these situations. So. Okay.
Questions from the board? Public comment? Online? All right, so this will come back at the next meeting.
Correct.
All right, that takes us to item C, first read, Board Bylaw 9322, Agenda Meeting Materials. Superintendent.
Yes, this policy was also reviewed by our policy subcommittee on August 14th. The changes in green are really from CSBA language, talking about giving opportunity for the public to comment at one meeting, but you don't necessarily have to do that twice on the same topic, at the following meeting, but I know we're usually very accommodating about that. It talks about making sure that we offer reasonable accommodations for individuals with disabilities. And when we are making our documents available for the public, that we disclose the address where the public could come and view those documents. So again, those are CSBA recommended changes, and we comply with all of those right now.
Okay. Questions from the board? Public comment? Online? All right. This will be back next meeting as well. That takes us to item D. First read, Board Policy 1313.02, Civility and Mutual Respect. Superintendent.
We also reviewed this policy at the policy subcommittee actually in June 5th. So this one is coming to the board now for a first read. A lot of the language in this policy was moved into the administrative regulations, so that's the part that we would see in red. But the part in green is new language that would remain in the board bylaw and reflects recommendations from CSBA. And Dr. Huber can answer any questions, specific questions on that, or Ms. Diaz.
Okay, questions? Public comment? Online? All right, we'll see that next meeting as well. Finally, that takes us to item E, first read, Board Policy 6163.2, Animals at School.
This one, very minor changes. These are really just typographical, which you see in paragraph 2. So we were just making those corrections and making sure the numbering was aligned to our AR as well. So very minor changes. This would come back as consent as well.
All right, board, public, online. All right.
Mr. President?
Yes.
So just for clarification, everything that we actually just reviewed will come back on consent?
Consent.
And, okay, and
Yes.
not, okay. All right.
All right. And that takes us to item 14, superintendent's report.
Okay. On the consent agenda tonight, the board approved the consolidated application for our categorical funding, and that's a very involved report, but it's our funding mechanism for all our federal programs, the title programs, Title I, Title II, Title III. So I just wanted to recognize that. I know Ms. Cabrera talked about sharing that with her DLAC and getting their insight and comments and approval as well. But I wanted to publicly thank Ms. Cabrera and her team because that's a very involved report, and thank the board for approving that. Also, I want to do a big shout out for all those volunteers and helping hands that helped with our hiring fair last week. That's Human Resources, our Fiscal Department, Benefits team, Health Services team, and I'm sure I'm leaving some out, but there were just a lot of administrators here, lots of folks volunteering from different departments, and just making those connections with people as they came through the door and making sure they got to the right place. And if you had a chance to get a glimpse of it or see a picture back in the computer lab, it was just this huge holding area where we were having multiple interviews going on at the same time. It was really a very well-oiled machine, but again, didn't happen by accident. It was a lot of time, effort, and intentionality in making that a success. So, and then recently we held a free clinic for physicals at Mills Middle School. We held that on a Saturday. Again, we had a lot of community resources there, but I do want to give a shout out to our community schools team, Carla Gaiman Davis, our health services team. The Food Locker folks were there, UC Davis was there administering the physicals, and they love coming and helping out. And they said, anytime you're going to host another clinic, you let us know. We want to be there. So it was good to hear that. And we've had a lot of back-to-school nights in the last 2 weeks. So for all of our schools who've been hosting their back-to-school nights, and our teachers, our leaders, our support staff, thank you for making those connections early on with our students and their families and making them feel welcome at our schools. Today we had a very interesting back-to-school at our charter school. We do it a little bit differently at our Folsom Cordova charter. They did a back-to-school barbecue picnic for parents, and they had a great turnout today. So lots of ways of making those connections early on, and wish everyone a great year. I think we're off to a great start. Thank you.
Thank you. Board member reports. We'll start with the student board members. Mr. Melajor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everyone. I hope that everyone had a really great back-to-school season. This board meeting was quite short. Nothing controversial, hopefully. But it was really nice to see the football season back. I got to attend Vista's game a few weeks back. It was really nice to see the athletics program in full swing, so we're looking forward to that. And for all my seniors across FCUSD, it's that time of year, college application season open, and we're determining the next 4 years of our lives. But I want to highlight that this process would not be possible without high school counselors, and I want to point out the inadequate counseling resources at Vista Del Lago. With the absence of one counselor, Vista retains only 3 of these counselors, each with a caseload of close to up to 600 students. This is highly unusual, as schools of this size usually retain 4 to 5 counselors, and there's auxiliary mental health support to supplement. And these individuals at Vista and at other schools, they have to provide academic support as well as mental health support to students. And I know that mental health support has taken precedence, especially in today's era. But I want to understand that this year, even the counseling staff themselves, they came to earlier board member meetings this year to advocate for even more counseling support. What I would like to see is that additional counseling support is provided to not only my school, but also every secondary school across FCUSD to alleviate this issue, especially given the fact that college application season has just started, and these counselors will definitely be overwhelmed even more with requests from seniors. So let's make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Merrill.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Just today at Cordova High School, we held our annual event, Club Rush. It's where all the clubs at Cordova High, we all come together in the quad in the middle of our school during lunch. During both lunches, we have A and B lunch. And they all come out with their materials, their shirts, and they're all yelling at the quad for all the students to come in. We have like a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors, just a lot of new people, and like it's a very good way to orient the new students coming to Cordova High School with like the club culture at Cordova High, which I think is very strong. Despite the heat, I adorned a bear costume for California Scholarship Federation Club. That was really enjoyable. Overall, the atmosphere was really lighthearted. It was really fun. I think it was a great success, and it's a great way to get students oriented with their new school. However, on a more sour note, students all around Cordova have been talking about Minga, the new school app, and they don't like it. I'm just gonna keep it honest with you. They really don't like it. I know some students have trouble, like they don't trust the app on their phone. They think it's like spyware. And I mean, I understand you don't want to be downloading random apps on your phone, especially, and I feel like they're more angry at the fact that it's like mandated by the school. Honestly, I think the app's great. It's a great way to connect. The school, they post, it's like the social media for the school. They post a lot of announcements. They post the games. They post when the clubs are and stuff. However, they've shifted their late pass system and their hall pass system over to Minga. So you have to like open the app and you have to like make a hall pass on the app. And it's really a hassle, especially for students and teachers who are less tech savvy. I've had to make a hall pass. It was just one time I made a hall pass on Tuesday for my English class, and it was being really finicky, and the teacher just let me take the paper pass. That happened another time in my health class. The teacher just let them take the paper pass. From what I've heard from some of my teachers, they're less experienced with the app because they were thrown in. They're like, oh, we're using Minga, and then they weren't really shown the inner workings of the app. And another thing with Minga is the late policy that's come with it. So at Cordova High, I don't know if this is with other schools, but at Cordova High, if you are late to any period, you have to go to the office now versus in previous years, you just went to your class, you would be marked late. Now you have to go to the office before they won't let you in class. And the first day it was in effect was August 20th, it was Monday, and we had like 150 students, which is a huge line waiting outside the office. And I see that as a problem. Just 1 minute late, being 1 minute late to school, whether it's like traffic, there's a jam, a car crash, something on the road, you're a little bit late to school, or your parents, you had trouble getting ready, whatever. Even if you're a little bit late to school, you're gonna have to suffer a 20-minute wait in the office. I feel like that's very unnecessary. I feel like the old system is a lot better for like recuperating lost class time. You don't want to like punish the student more for losing class time, especially if it's like an IB class. It's really important for you to not miss that. I know that our school is opening up more places to go get a late slip excused. I know just now it's the office. I think they're opening up the counseling office and the library later in the year. However, I feel like that should be sped up. I feel like it should have been opened with the library and the counseling office also like hubs that you can go put your late pass in, because losing 20 extra minutes of school is crazy. I don't think a 200-person line is like acceptable if you're just like a couple minutes late to school. So yeah, that was my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Ms. Lofthouse.
Congratulations to Mr. Clark on being nominated for CSBA Director at Large. As a fellow delegate, he is very respected at CSBA as well as within our district. And so I feel very lucky to be on the board with you. And then the professional development for our staff is amazing. As the department that I used to work in, seeing it grow is fantastic. Much needed, long needed, and I hope to see the support continue, not just because it's the beginning of the school year. So I look forward to those monthly calendars to make sure. And then also in terms of Minga, I've also heard very similar stories from Folsom High School. So I do know that it's probably a pretty steep learning curve from talking to some of the teachers, but our goal should be to get students to class even if they are late. So making it more difficult for them to get to class, or if they have to use the restroom, things like that, we should streamline that process however we can. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. I kind of want to echo on what Van was talking about. Yeah, we need to support these students at Cordova, and I know that there's going to be more construction right along that way on Chase. And so if you can imagine the construction out there and kids trying to get to school and, you know, the traffic being backed up, it's going to cause some headaches. So hopefully we can look into that to see how we can mitigate it a little bit better so these kids can get to school and be there on time, or, you know, not be tardy. I want to thank the board for their nomination for CSBA Dow, Director at Large. It's a position that I hold very seriously, and for me it's still, and I talk about this several times, it's still a learning process. And being on that board, I have learned so much about policies and working with our legislators and just being a voice not only for my district, but for all the kids in the state that are in public education. So I appreciate your all support. Other than that, I really don't have much. It is football season. Fortunately, I won't be attending any games this weekend. But I wanted to bring something to, and I don't know how we can work this out, especially with our families in Cordova. You know, I always look at the families at Vista when they go to different sites. And of course, Folsom program, they travel deep wherever they go. Having these games, and Peter, you and I can probably talk offline, but when you have Cordova playing in Fairfield and then heaven forbid down at Merced next week or this week, it kind of makes it hard for those families to get down there. I hope there's a way that we can maybe find a way to transport parents down there so the kids feel supported. But when you're traveling 2.5, maybe 3 hours away to play a football game, and the families, some may have means to get there, some maybe don't, I would really like to see those families come out and support those kids. So maybe it's something that we can talk about, or something that the board can take interest in, and we, you know, talk about a little bit more in detail. But Peter, thank you for hooking up my Max Preps. I'm not that savvy, so you're gonna have to give me a refresher after the meeting. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Ms. Larrett.
I don't have much on my end. I just want to congratulate Principal Hayden on his new position, and we are very sad to see him leave, but we are very grateful for all the work that he's done at Cordova High School. And, you know, I was talking to him earlier, and I said, look, when administrators are upset and teachers are upset and kids are upset when you're leaving, you've done a great job. So, you know, we're very sad to lose him, and we're very happy to get Principal Strawn over to, you know, work with Cordova High for the next few months. And, you know, I know that staff and students were happy about that as well. It's a familiar face. So just want to thank both of them for their work and for the team getting something put together very quickly so that we have, you know, good supports over there. I wanted to thank all the efforts for that. Thank you to Dawn for, you know, putting the hiring fair on. I mean, I think we're all feeling a lot better of getting staffed and, you know, getting those supports in where our families and our students are needed. You know, and maybe we could talk about possibly the Booster Club, maybe getting a bus for some of those parents. Maybe we could talk about that so that we can provide that for some of those families. That's a great idea. So that's all you have for me. Thanks.
All right, Mr. Hui.
Thank you. Just one item for me tonight. Just wanted to highlight an item that we approved on consent agenda because we did that, didn't get a chance to talk about it out loud. And that's item H, which is approving an MOU with Folsom's Hope. Just wanted to express a great amount of gratitude to Folsom's Hope and Salwa Kasabian, who's just has an enormous heart and has led our community well and led our schools well. I think she's been at this for, 13 or 14 years now, and literally was a mom who saw a need and went to fill that in. And so it's, a lot of gratitude for what can happen to somebody who sees that need, goes to meet it, and really sticks with it. So congrats to them. Congrats to us for having a great organization on our campuses, and thank you.
All right. And I do not have a report tonight. So that will take us to item 16, advanced planning. The next board meeting will be on September 7th, 2023. You have the 12-month calendar there, and we will add the next special, all of the special meetings going forward on there, correct, Superintendent?
Yeah, they're here. I think it's the website we have to update on the calendar.
Oh, the website, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And then we have suggested future agenda items. Does anyone have any item that they'd like to have added to that list? Okay, hearing none. That takes us, and we don't have anything to go back into closed session on. We covered our items in closed session at the beginning. So that will take us all the way to item 21, adjournment. And we will adjourn by unanimous consent unless I hear an objection. Hearing none, we're adjourned.